If you were a Quebec Nordiques fan in the mid-1980s, you look at this season as a lost chance for the Stanley Cup, probably the last best chance that the team had in the 80s of winning all the hardware. So today we're going to be talking about what happened in the 84-85 season for the Nordiques, a series of highs, some lows, and like I said, when you come within 2 games in the Stanley Cup Finals against a beatable squad and you lose, it's rough going. Now, this campaign, you went 41-30-9. They were eventually second in the Adams Division behind Montreal. Fourth in Wales Conference, a strong 24-12-4 home record with 17-18-5 on the road. Now they were plus 48 in the goals column with 323 goals for, 275 against. Now, led by GM Mosfilio and Coach Michel Bergeron and the newly hired assistant coach Guy Lapointe, the Mary Marois captain squad who played at the Colisée de Quebec were led on the score sheet, of course, by Michel Goulet and Peter Stastny. Goulet had 55 games this year, while Stastny chipped in with 32 goals and 100 points. Now, a very balanced team. They were running 3 goalies for the most of the year. Now, the club hired again Lapointe as an assistant coach in the offseason, while they also signed former Montreal Canadian Richard Sevigny as a free agent from the Habs. Sevigny ended up with a strong 16-18-2 record with the side. He had a strong 16-18-2 record with Montreal in '84 and stabilized Quebec's goaltending that season with Mario Gosselin and Dan Bouchard as the other 2 major starters. Now, Quebec started the year, pretty slow, going only 3-6-1 in the first 10 games. At the time, they were last place in the Adams Division. Now, he played mediocre hockey for the majority of the first half with a 16-6 record after 38 games, battling with Boston for third place in the division. However, the Nordiques played much better the second half of the season, as they would battle with the Habs and the Sabres for first place in the division. Quebec finished the campaign with a 41-30-9 record, winning 25 games in the second half. Now, Stastny again led the squad with 100 points in 75 games, and Goulet almost broke 100 points. He had 55 goals and 95 points in 69 games. He was out with some major injuries during the season. Now, Anton Stastny had 38 goals and 80 points, while Dale Hunter, who was leading the team in penalty minutes, had 20 goals and 72 points. Now, Brad Maxwell and Brent Ashton were acquired from Minnesota in December. Sparta Nordiques had Ashton at 51 points in 49 games, while Maxwell had 31 points in 50 games on the blue line. Now, in a goal again, Gosselin had 19 wins with a 3.34 goals against average in 35 games. 70 went 10-6-2 with a 3.37 average, while Dan Bouchard was 12-13-4 with a 3.49 goals against average in 29 games. Now, as the regular season ended, both Montreal and Quebec ended up with 41 wins, but Montreal had a few more ties than Quebec, pretty well even in goals scored for and against. Now, the key one for Quebec this year, they had a hard time against Montreal in the regular season, losing a majority of their games. Now, they played the Sabres, and you knew it was going to be a tough series in the first round, it's a best of 5. Now, the Sabres finished the season in third place in the division at 38-28-14 with 90 points, 1 less than Quebec. The series began with 2 games at the Colisée, and the Nordiques took care of business at home, winning back-to-back contests 5-2 and 3-2 to go 2 up in the series. The series then moved to Buffalo for the third game at the Odd, and the Sabres stayed alive in the series with a 6-4 win to cut the Nordiques' lead in half. Then Buffalo easily handled the Nordiques in the 4th game at the Odd, winning 7-4 to even the series, sending them back to Quebec City. The Nordiques and Sabres played a very strong game in Game 5, with Quebec winning 6-5 to advance in the division finals. Now, a lot of people felt Montreal was going to be dominant in the series, but it didn't play out. Now, Montreal had eliminated the Boston Bruins in 5 games in the first round of the playoffs, and the series did open with the first 2 games of the Forum. However, it was Quebec who struck first for only their second win against Montreal that year, winning the first contest 2-1 in overtime, before the Canadians evened the series with a 6-4 win in the second contest. The series then moved to Coliseum for the next 2 games, and the Nordiques once again took the series lead, winning the third game 7-6 in a blazing overtime shootout to go up 2-1 in the set. The Canadiens responded in the fourth game, defeating Quebec 3-1 to even the series up at 2-2. Now, in the fifth game in Montreal, the Nordiques came out flying, easily defeating the Canadiens 5-1 to take a truly 3-2 series lead. Now, a lot of people figured the series was going to be done in Quebec. However, Pierre Mondeau had a strong game, and the Canadiens fought off elimination, defeating the Nordiques 5-2 to once again tie the series, forcing a seventh and deciding game at the Forum. Now, in that contest, the Nordiques and Canadiens were tied 2-2 after regulation, forcing OT, but in the extra period, Peter Stastny got the puck off a face-off and scored the series-clinching goal against Steve Penny, as the Nordiques stunned the Canadiens with a 3-2 win, advancing to the Wales Conference Finals for the second time in 4 seasons. Now, a lot of people felt Quebec had a good chance to beat Philadelphia in '85, and I tended to agree. They skated against the Flyers in the best of 7. The Flyers had the best record in the NHL that year, 53-20-7, but always had a hard time with the Nordiques. They had won the Patrick Division by 12 points over the second-place Capitals. Now, in the postseason, Philadelphia swept the Rangers in 3 games before defeating the Islanders in 5 in the division finals to get to the semifinal round. Since the Adams Division had a better record against the Patrick Division, the Nordiques would have home ice advantage. The series began with 2 games at the Coliseum, as the Nordiques won a tough defensive battle in overtime by the score of 2-1 to take an early lead in the series. The Flyers evened the set with a 4-2 victory in the second game. Now the series then moved over to Spectrum in Philadelphia, and the Flyers took a 2-1 series lead with another 4-2 victory in the third game. However, the Nordiques rebounded the fourth game at the Spectrum, silencing the Flyers with a 5-3 win to even the series up at 2 victories apiece. Now the fifth game was played back in Quebec City, and the defensively tight Flyers squeaked out a 2-1 victory in the fifth game to return home with a 3-2 series lead. Now Philadelphia dominated the Nordiques in the sixth game, outshooting Quebec 36-15, shutting down Stastny and Goulet to win 3-0 in advance to the Stanley Cup Final, where he lost to Edmonton. Now, what was quite bizarre for a lot of the fans of the Nordiques and the media covering it, we felt that the Flyers were beatable from an aspect, because you look at the regular season between Quebec and the Flyers. It was sort of like I said, a tale of two cities. The key game that they played against each other in the regular season came actually December 6th, where it was a 1-1 tie in Philadelphia. A lot of people felt this was going to preview pretty well of the semifinal round. Now, they didn't play the Flyers much that season, but when they did, like I said, it was hard-fought contest. But the big win, of course, for Quebec was 4-2 on March 2nd in Quebec, which really, that's the game that pretty well solidified their playoff spot. Now, in the regular season, we talked about Stastny, Goulet, and Anton, but Will Paymont was there that year, of course, 51 points in 68 games. The great Mario Marois was 43 points in 76 games, including 6 goals. Paul Gillis had 14 counters. The very great two-way player Jean-François Sauvé had 13 goals. Alain Côté, who worked so hard that year on the defensive side, 13 goals in 80 games. But he had key players again like Randy Moller, Pat Price, Norman Rushmore. Tony McKechnie was there. He scored 12 goals that year. Marion wasn't there for the whole season, but had 21 points in 50 games. Andre Savard as well. Bo Berglund, Jimmy Mann as well. Louis Schlegel coming off the big 84 playoff. Blake Wesley was there for a little while. Gord Donnelly. So a very, very balanced team. Even David Shaw was there for a few games. So again, in the playoffs, of course, it was Goulet had the big total, 11 goals in 17 games, where Maxwell again had some strong numbers with 11 points. Now, J.F. Sauvé was the unheralded player of the playoffs, 10 points in 18 games, including 5 goals. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we got to understand, it was I think the big decision was to use Gosselin for most of the playoffs, and I think it paid off. He had a 3.06 record. Gosselin was again the player that a lot of people felt could beat the Canadians, and Dan Bouchard wasn't going to have any luck against Montreal in '85 in the postseason after what happened in '84. So it was pretty weird. But you know what was kind of weird, the whole situation? Using three goalies for most of the season, I think worked to their advantage because it made them decide who was the best one. But I still remember Game 4, at the end of Game 4, and a lot of people thought, can you imagine if the Nordiques would have made the Stanley Cup? They'd be still playing the NHL now. No disrespect to what happened in '93, but they were so close in the '80s. Had two kicks in a can. A strong Boston and Flyer squad. But I really think Montreal really pushed Quebec, especially in '82 and '84, and in '85, of course. And I really think, if Montreal and Quebec would have had more of a rivalry in those years, let's say if they would have played, Montreal would have played them in '83 or even '81, it would have been much interesting to see how quickly Quebec would have got in the Stanley Cup mood, as we say. Two kicks in the can, like I said, but everybody wanted Quebec to win the Stanley Cup, and literally the '85 Nordiques, one of the best teams of the '80s, to not win the Stanley Cup. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, we're NHL Vintage Podcast. Let us know what to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget, keep your stick in the ice. Have a good day. Bye.